When overseas automotive brands source from China, the challenge usually isn't finding a factory. China actually has a lot of very capable manufacturers. The real challenge is alignment. So today, we will walk through 6 questions to show how real sourcing alignment actually happens in practice. A lot of buyers initially say they want a cost-effective product. But once the conversation goes deeper, what really matters becomes very clear. Certification, reliability, and supply stability. For example, in the automotive industry, if a component cannot pass certification in the target market, the product usually stops right there. Or sometimes the sample performs well, but once production scales up, performance becomes inconsistent. That can actually become much bigger risk than the price. So in reality, most buyers are trying to reduce risk, not just reduce cost. A certification mark on the product might look small, but behind it, there are often very specific technical requirements. Different markets may require different battery labeling formats, cold temperature performance standards, or flames retardant material grades. We sometimes see situations where product was originally designed for one market, but later the brands want to sell it in Europe or North America. That's when regulatory differences start to appear. In those situations, we usually work with the factory and engineering team to review the product structures, materials, and testing standards early on. That way, the product can meet the requirements of the target market without delaying certification. Many brands want to start with the smaller trial orders, which makes sense when testing a new market. But challenge is some key components such as battery cell or specialized materials often comes with a fixed purchasing threshold from upstream suppliers. For example, if a brand orders only a small quantity, the factory may still need to purchase materials in larger batches, which pushes up the unit cost. In those cases, we usually work with both sides to adjust the order structure. Sometimes that means consolidating orders across multiple SKUs or planning phased production runs. That way, the clients can test the market while keeping the cost structure manageable. Customization looks simple at first. For example, a client may ask to add multi-language packaging or adjust product label for different markets. But in practice, that change can affect manuals, certification markings, packaging layouts, and sometimes even inspection documentations. We have seen cases where small label updates require the factory to revise several packaging versions and update multiple compliance documents. So when customization requests come in, we usually review the entire packaging and documentation system first to make sure the change is implemented consistently across production. In most cases, misalignment does not suddenly appear at the end of the project. It usually starts much earlier. One common point is the product specification stage. A brand may define performance requirements based on its target market, while the factory interprets those requirements using its standard production assumption. Another situation often appears during testing. For example, a client might expect reliable performance in very low temperature because their market is in the North Europe. But if the requirement isn't clearly defined early on, factory may default to standard testing conditions. These differences may seem minor in early discussion, but they often become critical once certification or large-scale production begins. Our role is to make sure the sourcing strategy actually works in real production conditions. That means aligning engineering feasibility, regulatory requirements, and manufacturing capacity before production even begins. Over the years, by working closely with our clients, we've also developed a shared way of aligning expectations early in the process. That makes the collaboration much smoother as projects grow and scale. So when companies think about sourcing, the real question isn't which suppliers to choose. It's whether the entire supply chain structures can support long-term market expansion.